Okay, so what's up there, guys? As you can see, we've got a pretty horrible day in front of us today. Now, I've been checking the radar and basically looking at the weather, seeing if it was worthwhile going out today. However, it's just not. It's not. So, as you can see, it's a pretty horrible day. So, what we're going to do instead is we're going to take advantage of being at home, and we're going to clean up all our gear. So as you can see from the last few hunts, it's got extremely dirty, and basically, as I explained in our last video, maintenance is key. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to give the Equinox a good clean up. We're going to clean up all the shaft. We are going to also replace the digger detecting stickers. And look, I am going to, for anybody that's interested in these, as you can see, that one's a little bit well worn. This one's a little bit better. Anybody that's interested in some of these digger detecting stickers, I do have them available for purchase on my Facebook group. However, I'm in the process of making more. So I do have the printer at home here, and I make them myself. And I am in the process of getting more sticker vinyl and making more. So stay tuned, because they will be available in future. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to check these rubbers. Now, as some will know, the Equinox 800 has a bit of a history of breaking the coil lugs. Now, nothing against the Equinox 800, however, I have broke a coil myself, so I know exactly what it feels like, and I know how painful it is, and how easy it can also happen. And the biggest reason why it happens is because people over tighten this lug, this middle lug. And basically, by over tightening this bolt, what you're doing is you're pulling the two basically eyelets, the coil eyelets, together inwards and applying pressure to basically the base where they're attached. And by pulling them inwards, they snap off basically at the base. So the best way to prevent that is by checking your rubbers, because what will happen is, as the rubbers wear inside here, and look, we're going to give you a bit more of an in-depth look at this, but as the rubbers wear inside here, and you keep tightening it, trying to get more basically tightening out of it, you will basically bring those coil eyelets inwards, and as I said, apply pressure and break them. So best thing to do is always check your rubbers. Detected metal detecting products also have some hardened rubber coil eyelets. Now, they're really good. I don't have them in my detector because I have a few spare eyelets, so I just keep using those, and I'll show you a bit of a trick that you can do to reuse them. However, I will be in future looking at putting those hardened rubber eyelets in from Detected Metal Detecting. So look, that's what we'll end up doing today, and we'll give you a bit of a look. We're also going to grease up the shaft, clean up the pinpointer, replace the battery, as I mentioned, grease up the rubber in there, keep any dirt, grime, moisture out, and we will clean up our shovel and give you a look. So anyway, we'll go from there. Right, so the shovel's a really easy, straightforward one, obviously. It's stainless steel, so there's really you can't do any damage to it. So we're just going to give it a quick rinse under the tap. We're going to take the telescopic piece apart, and we'll clean up inside the tube, dry it all out, let it all dry, all the water come out, and then we'll give it a bit of a grease up and put it back together. So I've also got a little scrubby brush here, so we'll just give them a bit of a clean up. I really don't have to show this on camera. It's pretty self-explanatory. So under the tap, give them a scrub. Sounded like something else then. Anyway, thought I'd show you this. Basically, you can see why I've pulled it apart. You can see all that grime on there. So every time I basically collapse this and extend it, I'm just pushing all that grime and dirt down into there again. So we're going to give them a good clean up. Straight under the tap, we can't hurt anything. You can see it coming out all the holes. And we might even try and get a brush or something down there and brush all that dirt and grime out. So, and this guy, pretty easy. Brand new. Okay, so here we are, we're inside, and what I'm going to do basically is, you'll see on my Equinox. I've got basically the coil strengthener, so it helps strengthen the coil lugs there. But in order for it to be on, it needs cable ties. So basically what we're going to do is cut those cable ties off, and we can replace them later. So we'll start pulling them apart now. So we've got the cable ties off. Basically start disassembling him. And look, what I always do before I put it in the water is always make sure these two screws are done up tight. So your coil cord and basically that other little screw at the back there, just make sure he's done up nice and tight. The one for your headphones there, and then you know it's safe to go in the water. You know that you're not going to damage anything and nothing's going to leak. Now these Velcro strips too, I often replace these. You can basically pick them up from your local $2 store, you know, your thrifty shop, your little shop. I'm pretty sure Bunnings actually sells them. So we can now take the pole out, disassemble him. He's got a lot of, probably hard to see, but a lot of dirt and grime there. You can see it all soaking up in the bathtub. Don't laugh at me either. This is the only biggest space that I had to put the detector and actually clean it off in the bathtub here. So we're just going to work with what we've got. I'm sure there's many others out there that also clean the detector either in the shower or in the bathtub. I know it sounds silly, but it's a great place to clean them. So I don't bother disassembling. This is the Equinox red belly carbon fibre shaft. I don't bother disassembling any of this or cleaning this really too much. I might just give it a bit of a scrub and a clean, but I don't take the bolt out or anything. So just leave that in there. So we'll just put the detector and the control unit down in the water now, and we'll start disassembling the coil cover. Now this is pretty old. This is a couple of years old, this one now. I've never replaced it. It's still the original, and it has actually got a few cracks starting to show in it. So something that I'll have to look at doing later. And look at all that dirt and grime in there. Isn't that unreal? Probably hard to focus and see, but let's try and get this off. Now I only cleaned this probably about month and a half, 2 months ago, not too long ago. So I remember I left it there for ages one time, and I actually finally removed it, and I had grass growing out from underneath it. So yeah, good thing to keep in mind. Always clean them. As you can see, it's dirty. So, and once again, look at the build-up. So heaps. So, and that can also produce false signals. So I'll show you this little coil slide. Basically just slides on and off there. And now I will try and zoom in with wet hands. That's better. Basically this little piece here, as you can see, it just slides. It's a bit dirty and a bit grimy. Just slides over there, and it basically doubles up and strengthens. Try and get it off now. Strengthens these two lugs, these two eyelets. And as I mentioned before, as those rubbers in the shaft wear and they get down a bit, so you can see there's a bit of movement there. So as you tighten those lugs up and pull them inwards, pinch them inwards, it applies pressure down to here, and that is what causes them to break. So they're not designed to flex in and out like that. So over tightening of this bolt is the biggest cause of the Equinox eyelet snapping. So what I've done here too, you'll see this little piece, and it's very thin. I just made it out of, I think it was like a yogurt container or something like that. But basically what I've done is I find that when the rubber eyelets wear, I will put that little piece inside there, and it basically packs up and allows you not to over tighten the coil, not to over tighten the lug nut basically, because it just basically packs up that little bit of rubber that you've lost on these eyelets. Now let's pull them out and I'll give you a look. It can be tricky to get out sometimes. This one's going to come out quite easily. So trying to focus in there, sorry. But as you can see that wear? And I'll give you a better look at these. I'll dry them off and I'll get the camera to focus in properly. But there's basically wear on there. You can see, the camera's not focusing there for me. Anyway, I'll dry them off, I'll clean them up. You can see that little step, that little ridge right there. And that's, oh, there it is. That's the amount of wear that we've worn off that rubber, eyelet rubber. Basically by flexing the shaft up and down, it's rotated and worn that little step in there. So anyway, what I'll do is I'll clean them up, give you a bit of a look, and we'll go through it all together, and we'll reassemble the Equinox, the rubbers, the eyelet, the coil strengthener, everything, once it's all clean. So. Ew, look at the bathtub, would you? Whoops, that's a lot of stuff to come off the Equinox. As you can see, we've got grass seeds and we got dirt and stones and we got everything. So well worth doing, always worth cleaning. We have not finished cleaning the coil. As you can see there, it's still very grimy, very dirty. We will get to him in a minute. I just thought I'd show you basically, and still the control unit we've still got to do. But I thought I'd show you some of the items here that we've already cleaned up. Not doing a very good job with the camera there, sorry. And also these rubbers. So we are going to end up replacing those, because as you can see, look at the wear, look at the step that they've got in them. And that's what I was trying to show you before. Basically how much they've worn. And what I do generally is I flip them over. So after they've worn for 3-6 months, whatever, generally flip them over, get a little bit more life out of them. However, you can see I've done that with both of these before, so they will need replacing. So we'll end up replacing those. I've got a couple of spares, as I mentioned, but I will in future be using the detected hardened rubber ones. So anyway, we'll give you a look at them a bit later. So and we'll replace them as we go. So we're going to clean this up now, and what I've been using is just a scrunchie. So just a scratchy. It's not too hard. Obviously, don't push too hard, don't scrub too hard, but it's great for cleaning up the control unit and basically the shaft. So as you can see there, it's dirty. It's very dirty. We might even replace that screen protector too, because that's a few good months old now, and we're yet to rip off the digger detecting sticker and replace him. So anyway, we'll give you a look when we're finished. Right, so we're pretty much done. We've got the coil just finished here now. You can see here it's come up very nice. So we end up getting in all the little holes with a toothbrush, and around the coil eyelets with a toothbrush also. So we'll put him there, let him dry. We'll stand him up because we need to get all the water out of the tube. So we'll carefully stand him up so he doesn't fall. And last of all, we're just going to clean up. I was going to do this in a tub, but let's just do it in here. So why not? I don't put these through the washing machine, the gloves, or look, the gloves would probably be alright. However, the bag, I just hand wash it. So, and that's fine. That's fine. It always comes up clean and good enough. So, I just find if you were to put that in the washing machine, you'd quickly end up damaging stuff. So you probably find that it would wear a lot quicker. So we just hand wash him. Anyway, we'll clean these and we'll come back. Right. So look at the mess we made. Isn't that great? Wow. And all that come off that. So pretty incredible. We got the pinpointer all cleaned up. I actually didn't know it was yellow. I thought it was black. It's been black for a while. So, and look, we're going to go into the shed now. As I said, we're going to reassemble everything. We're going to give you a look at replacing the new rubbers, greasing everything up, and putting it all back together. So ready for a next adventure. But first, we're going to clean up this bathtub because that's a disgrace. Righto, so welcome back. As you can see, we've got all our gear laid out and we are going to reassemble it now. However, I'm just going to show you quickly, once again, these rubbers. So in comparison to the new guys here, so on the right hand side is a new one. On the left hand side, obviously, is the one that we've just pulled out, one of. So we are going to be replacing those. As I said, the bottom ones will be thrown out and the top two will be the new ones that we use. And look at the difference. As I said, some of the best ways to snap these coil lugs is by these rubbers wearing and over tightening on that lug nut. So putting pressure on the base and snapping them. So good thing to always check. Highly recommend checking those rubbers in the end of the shaft. Anyway, we're also going to be replacing the screen protector. As you can see, it's fairly well worn. It's seen better days, fairly scratched up, beaten up, so why not replace it while we go? I do have a few here. Now you can buy these from your local basically Minelab stockist dealer, and as you can see, we've got a pack of 5 for $10. Now these are all English, so if I can get one out. These are all English, so that's the one we want. We want English. I do memorise basically what's going on down the bottom there. However, we'll put one on because it also helps others in my videos. So, and as you can see, we've got a heap of Japanese, Chinese, Turkish, Polish, you know, you name it. However, don't think that you can't use them. Once you learn basically what's along the bottom, just remember you can always cut that off and just use the screen protector itself. You don't have to have the language down the bottom. So otherwise you can learn Japanese. We've also got the rubber grease out. Now look, you don't have to use this specific one. It's just a good rubber grease that I like using. I generally use it with my mechanics when I'm placing in bearings or seals or what have you, and it's just a nice good light grease once it focuses there. Anyway, so that is what we're going to be using on the shafts and on the seals, anything that's telescopic going in and out, also using it on the rubber seals on the pinpointer, and as I said, on the shovel here, just like that. So we'll do that. We should probably dry him first though, because I haven't dried him, so I'll probably wipe that back out again. So we're also going to be putting the coil protector on, the strengthener. We've got the cable ties there to do so. So anyway, let's start reassembling. Okay, so I've got you mounted to my chest now on the camera mount, and what we're going to do is we're just going to dry off these pieces. I needed both hands, so I'm resorting to the camera mount, chest mount. So basically, I like to dry these off just before I put them back together. Look, for argument's sakes, you don't really have to. It's just my personal preference. Obviously, if you went for a water hunt down at the beach or in the long wet grass, this would all get wet anyway. And you would go home, you'd put your detector on the charge, and chances are you wouldn't clean it every hunt, you wouldn't dry underneath the coil. So, you know, ideally speaking, you don't have to dry it. It's just something that I do as I'm putting it all back together. So, personal preference. Anyway, so we got that one all clipped in. Make sure the 4 clips, the 4 main clips, you've got 2 up the top and 2 down the bottom. Make sure all 4 clips are clipped in, and then I just like to run my hands around the outside. So what we'll do next is we'll put the detector through the coil, the detector through the cord, I should say. Now look, like anything electrical, if it's lived a certain way for a certain time, it will like to go back that way. You know, I don't, as you've seen, I didn't disconnect this. I just unwound the coil lead from the actual shaft. So all I'm going to do now is I sort of memorize how mine goes. So it sort of comes down here and pinches on the main shaft here, just below the detect dead sticker, pinches there with one Velcro tie, comes down through, and as you can see, it's just sort of finding its own natural path now. So what we'll do is we'll leave that like that. We're going to end up putting a tie here in a second, and we'll do that, and then we'll put on the lower shaft but we'll also put on the rubbers first and show you. So righto, so we'll put our brand new rubbers in now, the ones up the top there, and look, once again, don't have to dry inside there, it'll be quite alright. So we'll just place them in like so. One and two, and you remember that little red spacer that I had back in the bathtub there, the one that I cut out of the yogurt container? I don't have that with me at the moment, because as you can see, we have taken basically the wear and the movement. I don't know if it's focusing there for you. We've taken that out though. So basically with the new rubber, it'll be back to new, and it should be nice and tight, like so. So perfect. And you can see there, once that bolt's done up, there's no movement. The only movement is really in that rubber, in that little bit of a shaft. So there's actually no movement in the head there like there was before. So brilliant. Anyway, we'll put this through together, and before we run him into there, what we're going to do, whoop, tipped him over. Before we put him there, what we're going to do is we're also going to put a little bit of this rubber grease, as I mentioned before. Anything that slides, rotates, or anything like that basically should have grease applied to it, just to help prolong the life. So, and not too much, just a little bit. We might just get a little bit more. Bit more. So not too much. And also this is great for stopping the grease, stopping the water, the dirt, all that sort of stuff getting in. And look, I know it is carbon fibre, however, just helps protect it. So carbon fibre is pretty tough. Light, strong, durable, everything, but why not protect it that little bit further? So righto, so we'll slide him in there. Nice and easy. We'll wipe off any of that excess grease, and then we will mount the coil. Righto, so we've wiped off all the excess grease, and we just slid the shaft in and out a few times, basically just to help push any excess grease out and then wipe it off. So anyway, what we'll do now is we're going to mount the coil, and we'll throw our coil strengthener on there first, and we'll cable tie him up in a minute. And we'll basically throw in this. Now what I will do too, I just like to, it'll wear out really quickly and it'll disappear very quickly. However, I just like to throw a little bit of grease, only the slightest bit, just on there. And that's not really to help it pivot. As I said, that'll disappear pretty quick. However, that is just to help this slide down into there and rotate it round so I can put this bolt in properly. Like so. We've even got a bit of grease hanging out the end, so you work smarter, not harder. Easy as that, easy as that. So all back together, and as I said, that grease wasn't as such to help it pivot. It was more just to help get that shaft in with ease. So, righto, what we're going to do is we're going to put the cable ties on. Pretty self-explanatory. However, I won't bother filming it. Basically, they just go on like that, and you can zip them up and put the head of the cable tie wherever you like. So, I generally sort of have one of the heads there, and then because of my obsessive compulsive disorder, I flip it over and have one on the other side. So got to keep it symmetrical. So anyway, we'll do that, and then we're going to put the screen protector on. Righto, so I've got the tyres on. They don't have to be overly tight. You don't want to go pulling it down too much. They're only plastic, so you don't want to go stressing and straining the plastic too much. So, and look, what I generally do, I'm a bit of a fussy Nelly, and what I generally do, you can see how these cable ties, when you cut them off, they've got that sharp edge on them. Now my boys also use the Equinox sometimes, and they handle it and carry it. So the last thing I want for them to do is get cut on it also, likewise with me. So what I generally do, not everybody will have one I'm sure, but what I generally do is get a file or a Dremel. Now a Dremel is the way to go, because you just turn it on and just bzz, buzz down the end. However, if you don't have one of them, just get a file and just file down the cable tie. So keep it neat, keep it clean. Right, so we've got the first tie on, and this Velcro tie, I like to have this one nice and tight, because he's got no reason to be moving up and down, even when you're collapsing and you know, bringing out the shaft again. So the second one, and look, this is all personal preference once again. You do not have to be doing what I'm doing here today or in this video. However, I just find this is the best way and best setup that actually works good, looks good, and doesn't damage anything, and actually protects it. So you put your second one there, once again, nice and tight, just like that. So we've got the cable on these two, nice and tight. Now the third one is obviously the one that moves up and down. So he's got to move up and down with the collapsing of the shaft. So he needs to be just half loose. You don't want to do him too tight, so I generally loosen that off a bit. And I generally sort of leave him just loose like that. So, and then as you see, oh wow, that's super tight. I need to loosen that off a bit. That's better. As you see, he just collapses down like that. So that's really the only one that you need to move, and that's ideally how I set mine up with the Velcro strips. Woohoo! Haven't seen it say Equinox 800 for a while. Look at that screen. It's like it's brand new again. Anyway, let's get the new screen protector on. So that's the old one, and you see the difference. Fairly well worn. So these are pretty self-explanatory again. Step 1 and step 2. Well, that's step 1 actually. Focus is there. There it goes. Remove me. So that's what we're going to do. Step 2. Remove me. We'll remove this guy now. I'll hold down that bottom screen too, because he sometimes likes to peel the other one up and create bubbles, which is sort of what that one's done. But look at that, not too bad. Not too bad at all. I'll just give him a wipe over. Try and push any of those air bubbles out. So, but I'm happy with that. Looks good. Looks better than what it did. Righto, so with your pinpointer, this battery's pretty much brand new, so I'm not going to bother replacing it. Just a Target one. Generally all I use, just the old cheapo batteries. I seem to get a bit of life out of them, and they seem to go alright. So that's all we're going to be using, and we'll use the same one, as I said, because it's only just been replaced. We'll just give that a bit of a wipe up. You can see the dirt and the grime on there. That's better. And what I generally do, just a smidgen on your finger and run it around that rubber seal that you can see there. So, and all that's going to do is stop any dirt, grime, anything like that getting in. That's what the rubber seal's there for. However, anything rubber eventually dries out. So the rubber grease is just helping it and stopping it from drying out that much quicker. So put him back in. As you twist him back together, you can even twist him back and forth a few times, just work that grease in, but you don't over tighten them, just nice and firm, and we're ready back to go again. So perfect. As I said, don't over tighten these though, because they can, I should bring it in the screen there for you, sorry. They can crack those, so don't go over tightening these. So just bring them up nice and firm. That's all you need to do. Righto, the last and final piece. Putting the digit detecting sticker on. Now, these are pretty easy to do. I've already peeled off the backing. We're just going to put him straight down there. And I have already cleaned and prepped the surface. So, does that look straight to you? What I generally do too is I'll use the back of the sticker to apply it. And you rub the whole thing down, get all the air bubbles out of it. The more you heat this up too, like with stickers, they're all vinyl, and so generally the more you rub them and basically heat it up, the better that they'll stick down and apply. So don't ever think that you know, a lot of people just peel it off, stick it on. However, if you want the sticker to last, Make sure you apply it pretty well. Heat up that area. I can feel it's getting hot underneath my finger now, so I know that vinyl will be sort of heating itself and applying itself properly. So now we peel off the top coat and sort of peel it back at a 90-degree angle with all stickers to avoid bringing up any lettering. Look at that. Perler. I just rub it down gently. Now, the reason why mine wear out too quickly is because I'm forever grabbing my detector and carrying it here in the middle. So I need to stop doing that because obviously it does damage the stickers, especially with rubber gloves. You can imagine what that does to the sticker. So anyway, I'll stop grabbing it there. Hopefully they last a little bit longer. But yeah, look, that's pretty much a wrap up, guys. We have put it all back together. We've disassembled it, as you've seen, and we've brought it back to life, ready for that next adventure. So pretty cool, pretty cool. I did not replace that back sticker either. He was only really missing the E, so we left him at that. So anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. We're going to finish putting the shovel back together. Pretty simple, as I said, just going to put a bit of rubber grease in there and go from there. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope that you got a few helpful tips out of it, and we're going to do a few more tutorial and helpful videos in the future. So really hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you on that next adventure. Cheers.